Okay, welcome back. We're talking about quantifiers. Instead of just saying 1 or more, or 0 or more, I'm going to say I want exactly 3, or 1 to 3, or whatever, right? So I can have a range of things that I want. So I want to find that, plus a dash. Whoop, got to get focus here, sorry. Plus a dash. And then I want to find a digit, but only 2 of them. And then a dash, and then I want to find a digit and exactly 4 of them. Okay, so that's how you do a search for a social security number. I want 3 digits, a dash, 2 digits, a dash, and then 4 digits. Kind of cool? Okay, now let's talk about some of the other options you can do. For example, I want to pick up like the, well, okay. Let's say I want anything that has, I want digits that I want to say, I don't know, between 2 and 3. Well, that's weird. Why didn't that work? Oh, ha. Comma. So that means either 2 or 3 digits, not 4, not 1, but between 2 and 3 digits. Cool beans? Okay. So a single thing in the curly braces means exactly 3 or whatever. 2 numbers in there mean that's between this one and this one. Okay, cool. And you could do something weird. You could say like 3 or more. All right? So if I said 3 comma, that means 3 or more. Okay? Kind of cool. Now I have seen people say like at least 3, like this. But that, quite frankly, is a little weird, because to me, that's the same thing as saying that, right? 1 or, no, that's 1 to 3. That's not at least 3. Okay. Anyway, the open comma at the beginning, kind of implementation specific. I have seen it, but I'm not sure what that really means, because, you know, that makes a lot more sense to me, the 1, 3. So there's really no need to have an open comma at the beginning. Okay, so let's start with a complicated way of finding out dollars and cents, okay? So we're going to use what we learned so far. First of all, I want to use a dollar sign. Now, is a dollar sign a special character? Yeah, it is. So I'm going to have to do that to escape that guy. Cool. And then I want digits. Well, I tell you what, let's do it the old way. Let's do it like this. Okay, digits. And if I want 1 or more, what would I do? It would be a plus sign, right? 1 or more digits. Okay. But then I want to optionally have a decimal point. Ooh, how do you do that? Actually, okay. Let me just continue. It's not gonna work exactly right. So I'm going to say dot but make it optional, like that. Cool. So now you can see, and then followed that with 2 additional digits, right? /D, that were exactly 2 digits long. Okay, now that didn't exactly work, because what I have to do is make the entire freaking thing optional, not just the dot. I have to make the whole thing optional from the dot on. How would I do that? Well, first of all, I would probably do it like this. I'd do a subgrouping, right? And then make that subgrouping optional. And that picks up both the one without dollars and cents and the one with dollars and cents. Okay, now I'm going to make this a little bit more sophisticated and just change this. Instead of using that, I'm just going to use the D, okay? Because digits makes more sense to me. Okay, kind of makes sense. That's a cool way of looking at it. Okay, so these are supposed to be drills. You're supposed to be kind of sort of following along here. So let's go back and find all words that start with a capital letter. And I'm going to have to put something in here to mess things up. So I'm going to say, this is an example of camel case. Okay, cool. So if I want to find all capitalized words. Okay. So first of all, /W would give me all words, right? Cool. But I want to find all words that start with a capital letter. So I can't do that. I can't use the B guy to find all word boundaries. And then I would do A to Z like this. Okay, that finds me all words that start with. Okay? Kind of makes sense? But I want to highlight the word, not the capital letter. I want the entire freaking thing. So I will basically say I want a word on here. Ooh, but wait, do I need the word? Does it have to be a word? If I use plus, whoop. If I use plus on here, oops, it helps if you get your backslash in the right direction. Okay, so that's all words that start. Cool bean? But let's make this more complicated. Let's say I plan to use this in programming. Oops, I want that I to be lit up. How do you do that? How do you make it so that the word part, the /W part, is optional? Now I could put it in parentheses and use the question mark guy, but isn't there an easier way to do that? Yeah, remember this guy? This means one or more of the preceding character, which means a word character. So if I did asterisk, that means that I have a word that starts with a capital letter, but I don't necessarily have to have any word characters after it, because the letter, A and I could be used as a capital letter, right? And that technically that's a capital word that starts with a capital letter, right? Okay, cool. So let's do it the dumb way. All right, the dumb way would be something like this, where I just say, I put in parentheses, A to Z, like this. Close the parentheses off. And then say, word plus. Dang it. Okay. That kind of sort of worked, but it got this thing here. It got camel case. In other words, it didn't start at the word. Okay? And it didn't pick up this guy. So this is not actually a very good way of doing it. Of having an A to Z and then followed by one or more word characters, because it doesn't do what I want. It picks up things that I don't want and leaves off things that I do want. Okay? Cool. So you should learn how to fix this, I'm thinking. Okay, so Social Security numbers, credit card numbers, email address. Let's do an email address. Okay, so I want to find everything that kind of sort of looks like an email address. So what are the rules for an email address? Okay, so an email address is going to have some words, right? I would assume at least one, right? One word character before you got to the @ I mean, you can't have less than that. So that means one or more word characters, and then the @ symbol. And then you want one or more word characters a second time. I mean, again, you couldn't have @ dot. That wouldn't work, right? And then I want the dot, but I have to escape it. And then, yes, there has to be at least one or more words after that. So that is one way of hunting for, searching something and hunting for email addresses. Okay, kind of makes sense. Let's do IP address. So down here I have my IP address is 192.168.1.1. I want to find that. Okay, now what are the rules? I mean, the rules are right off the bat, kind of sort of simple. It's 1 or 3 characters. I mean, 1 or 3 digits, right? It could be 2, could be 1, could be 3, can't be 4, can't be 0. So between 1 and 3 digits, a dot, and then 1 or 3 digits, a dot, and 1 or 3 digits, a dot. Now, there is a way you can spell this on out, okay, like this. All right, I'm going to do it the long way, okay, which is going to be digit curly brace 3. I'm sorry, 1 to 3. 1 to 3. And then the dot. And then do that over again, right? And then do it again. So first of all, right off the bat, isn't this kind of tedious that I'm having to do it 3 times? Right? Don't you kind of think that maybe that I could use some repetition kind of thing here somewhere to keep me from having to type this over and over and over again? Because isn't it really the same thing over and over? Okay, that's one way of doing it. The other way would be to separate this part right here and tell it that I want to repeat. Now, with the dot, it's a little complicated because the first one doesn't have a dot. Okay, and then from that point on, I want to group that together and tell it that I want exactly how many of them. Okay, so let's do this. Let's make this a little bit better. So I'm going to put a group around. The first one I really can't help much. But I can put a group around this guy. Okay? And then, now that I've done that, I can go in here and tell it how many of those things I want. Okay? So, actually, I want... yeah, that's right. Well, I did kind of get this one up here, didn't it? I wasn't really expecting that. So that's not really a valid. That's not, no, that's not valid. Yeah, okay. I guess we have to go back and do it the other way. Because, yeah, I really wanted the dot and then have it repeat exactly, what? 3 times, right? Is that right? There you go, cool. Not 1, 2, but exactly 3 times. That's mo better. So this is a good technique for finding IP addresses. Okay, so credit card numbers, IP addresses, emails, social security numbers, those are all very common things you would use regular expression things for. This is a very good website for learning this stuff, this RegExpression tester. It's got some good, when you roll down here, it'll actually explain what all these things mean, which is kind of cool. There's also one called a regegg, I know. And they have a cheat sheet, and it goes through all the stuff. They don't particularly want you to copy, but here's examples. They have, what the character guy does, and, what it matches, and here's the quantifiers, and here's the other things, and the alternation guy, and the white space, and more quantifiers, and more character classes, and anchors. I didn't talk about this. I only talked about like word boundary, and then the beginning and the end of line. I didn't mention any of those. And then this POSIX character classes are designed to like, I want all lowercase letters or uppercase letters. And the reason is, in English, putting a capital A and a capital Z meant that you automatically got all uppercase letters. But in different languages, the uppercase letters may not be contiguous. They may not be all together in one range. So this is an alternate technique for going through and saying, okay, I want, numbers, or I want punctuation marks, or I want alpha. That always works regardless of what language you're doing in. Okay, unfortunately, they don't want you to copy this, but it's still a good web resource. Okay, we're coming up on the 15-minute mark, so we're going to stop this video.